Well, good afternoon. It's approximately 1:30, Tuesday, June 10th. This is the Board of County Commission meeting in Seminole County. I would ask that each and every one of you take a moment and silence your cell phones or any other electronic devices you may have upon you. Out of respect for the process, we sincerely would appreciate that. We also have Commissioner Constantine, who is attending remotely. He is out of town today and not able to join us in person. We do there, however, have a quorum. I will ask that Ms. Jocelyn Williamson from the Central Florida Free Thought Society lead us in our invocation, and Commissioner Herr will lead us in the pledge today. Please rise.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Zimbauer, Commissioners, staff, and neighbors. As we convene this afternoon, let us pause and recognize that this meeting springs from care, civic duty, and a collective desire to build a better county. Here in Seminole County, we know that strong communities are shaped by collaboration, respect, and the everyday contributions of residents, leaders, and public servants alike. Each decision we make echoes beyond this chamber, touching families, students, business owners, and all community members alike. In the spirit of open-hearted reflection, may we embrace evidence and empathy as our guiding tools. Let us honor the diverse experiences that enrich us. May we remember that when we listen, truly listen, we unlock better solutions for everyone. And let us invite every voice into the conversation, because that is when progress flourishes. Today and always, may we be guided by reason, respect, and a shared vision for the future. Thank you.
Sure.
It is a privilege to say, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson, and thank you, Commissioner Herr. We sincerely appreciate it, and we sincerely appreciate Ms. Williamson with your ability to adapt to our schedules. Thank you very much. That does not go without being noticed. Thank you. Next up, we are going to go to our awards and presentations. This is going to be the County Investment Advisor Report. Mr. Scott McIntyre. Do we have Mr. McIntyre queued up? We do. Good for him. Adjusting to our schedule, we appreciate it, sir.
Of course, of course. Good afternoon.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I tried to, for the events that we're focusing on, I tried to focus on the things that were the questions that I'm getting from a lot of my other clients, because I figured they're probably questions you've had as well. Right now, the whole tariff issue is on limbo. It's in the courts. Ultimately, it's going to wind up in the Supreme Court. I'm not really sure how this is going to play itself out, but for right now, it's sort of parked. We should get a decision on that fairly quick. We had a negative first quarter GDP print, and I've heard some folks suggest that that might be the start of a recession, but the reality is the first quarter was actually a lot stronger than that print suggests. I'll mention why in just a second. Inflation continues to trend lower, which is a little unusual. You've got to understand that despite the fact that we're now at a 4-year low for inflation, the expectation is not where we are today. It's where we're likely to be in a couple months. That has not played itself out yet, just to kind of keep that in mind. Bond yields have crept a little bit higher since the last time we were here, which is a good thing because we didn't do a whole lot of investing over the last couple of meetings, so yields have moved higher. Moody's did downgrade the U.S. sovereign debt rating to AA. Now, that was a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, a lot of thoughts about that. The reality is S&P had downgraded from AAA to AA back in 2013, and Fitch did it in 2023, so Moody's was late to the party. It really essentially is meaningless. The only thing that is meaningful is the fact that Moody's pointed to the growing federal deficit, the likelihood that interest on that debt is going to wind up being a real problem going forward, and urged lawmakers indirectly to get a handle on that. And of course, we're in the middle of a big funding bill debate as I speak. So lots of balls in the air right now. The markets are really calm. probably shouldn't be as calm as the markets are right now, but the fact is, nobody knows anything. We're just sort of in a holding pattern. This is GDP. This is what I wanted to mention. We're negative 0.2% for the first quarter. There were two big issues with that. Companies wound up importing a tremendous amount of goods before the tariffs went into place. That tremendous amount of front-running has to be subtracted from GDP because we didn't produce the goods here. So that bar there at the bottom is net trade subtracting from GDP. Now, the counterbalances to that are the gray bar, and the gray bar is inventory. So business inventories added and trade subtracted. In next quarter, it's going to be very, very different, but we're not in recession at this point. This is the 2-year Treasury note yield going back 1 year. You can see the volatility. Most of the purchases that the county made were back in December, January, February. Since then, yields have moved lower. They've recently moved a little bit higher. You're actually fairly well invested at this point, but I think we're to the point where, to the extent we can invest back above 4%, we will. This is the Bloomberg survey that came out in May. It's worth looking at because they expect top line, real GDP, second quarter, 1.3%, so certainly not negative. And then third quarter, these economists on the whole believe that we'll have sub 1%, but not negative growth. So the economists in this nation do not believe that we're going to have a recession. Now, again, lots of balls in the air. We really don't know. If you look at expectation for where the overnight rate is going to be, quarter point cuts are expected every quarter for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters. We've expected that for a long time. The Fed has not been able to move. The Fed is sort of waiting to get some clarity. They haven't gotten it. The president is pushing the Fed really hard to cut rates. The last thing he said was cut 100 basis points, you're behind. He had some other folks step up to the microphone or find podiums and suggest that the Fed was behind, but the Fed is not at this point in time. It's just very helpful, I think, to the economy to have rates being cut. We're just not there yet. The Fed is going to be a little bit more methodical and pragmatic as they move forward. Expectation is that the 2-year, 10-year note yields are going to move lower as we roll forward. Part of that is that the economy will slow and interest rates will naturally move a little bit lower. What our choices have been, you guys know the drill. The scratch-throughs of previous meetings, so you can see that we are higher than we have been the last time you were here. The pool rates have stayed pretty close to where they've been because they don't move lower until the Fed actually cuts rates. So upcoming maturities, there's a lot of staggered maturities that were positioned to mature during the summer when you're draining, so some of that has been spent, will be spent. You had a Palm maturity that happened the other day that we allowed just to go to cash. What I am suggesting here or recommending here is that $10 million of this maturities between now and our next meeting be invested out 3 years. That fills a gap in May of 2028 where there are no maturities. That also is a time when you're spending money, so that gives money maturing. It also locks in for a long period of time. I do believe that Trump will appoint the next Fed chairman, which is less than a year away now, someone who is more dovish, more inclined to cut rates. And what that means is that a year from now, I'm expecting that rates will probably, overnight rates, short rates, will be lower than they are today. So I still like the idea of continuing to move securities out, lock them in above 4% into 2026, 2027, and 2028. Just one other quick slide. We haven't met in a while, so there's several portfolio snapshots to look at. On the far right-hand side is April, and then you've got May. May was a 440 yield for the portfolio. Looking at the mix between fixed and floating, i.e. your investments that are made and your cash, you only had 11% cash at the end of May, which is pretty lean. Overall maturity structure, once this 3-year note has been purchased, you'll be at about 435 days, which is roughly 15 months, which historically is pretty long. You have ample cash coming up because of the way the portfolio is staggered. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Please, Commissioner DeLaurie.
Thank you, Scott. I'd like to make a motion to implement the recommendations of our financial advisor based on the report submitted today and recommend the clerk to implement said board's recommendations.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimous.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
I
all.
do have one question that I want to bring up while we're on this topic, and I know Mr. McIntyre and I have discussed this previously. Our portfolio has a couple dozen old 20, 30-year investments that are $1,000, $3,000. Is that something that we could get some kind of idea, report, whether we should consider cleaning those up and bringing those together under a different investment?
So at this point in time, there's less than $1 million in existing face value lists. Those are all mortgage-backed securities that were bought
Right,
15 years ago, maybe,
Right.
and they've all paid down.
right.
People have moved, people paid down their mortgages, people refinanced, there's scrap left.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of little scraps. In theory, you could bid those out as a package to a number of broker-dealers. They would give you one bid to take them off the books. It would be a cleanup. At the end of the day, it may save you some safekeeping costs, it may save you some administrative costs. It really, probably, ultimately, you wind up having some very marginal, I don't know, a couple $1,000s worth of loss for that cleanup, but it's certainly doable. Used to be mortgage-backed securities had cleanup clauses, and once they got down to little scraps, they were gone, but that
Right.
isn't the case anymore.
Is that something staff could look into and get back with us, work with the clerk's office? And
Absolutely.
Mr. McIntyre, give us a recommendation.
We
Sure.
could do that.
That'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you very much. That's all. Anything else? Thank you, Mr.
I
McIntyre.
appreciate it. It's good to see you guys.
Thank you. Travel safe.
Ladies.
All right, next we're going to go to our consent agenda items. For those that are here to speak on any consent agenda item, please grab a form in the lobby and fill that out. And now would be the time to give that to Ms. Dominique, the clerk, with her hand raised here. And when it comes time to speak, we'll call you up by name. I will go to the county attorney for the rules of engagement of the public on these items.
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr.
Latour.
Chairman. Florida law provides that members of the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard on propositions before the Board of County Commissioners, except when the board is acting on emergency or ministerial matters or conducting a meeting exempt from the requirements of the Sunshine Law. Individuals shall be permitted 3 minutes each for public comment or 6 minutes when the individual is an official representative of a formal association or group. The chairman may modify the maximum time for public comment at his sole discretion when appropriate. Public comments on quasi-judicial or other public hearing items will occur during the board's consideration of those items later this afternoon. Public comments on pending procurement matters or on non-agenda items shall not be permitted at this time. Members of the public desiring to make public comment must fill out a speaker form and present the form to staff. Forms are available in the lobby. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Latour. We have consent agenda item 4, which is the constitutional officers, and 5 through 38, which is the county manager's consent agenda. Mr. County Manager, do you have any changes or revisions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Yes, 2 items on the consent that I need to pull. I also have one on the regular agenda. Do you want me to do all
Sure.
3 at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. So item number 15 and item number 29 on the consent, I'd like to pull, as well on the regular agenda, item number 41.
Okay, number 41, 15, 29 on the consent, and 41 on regular?
Correct.
Okay. All right, very good. Any commissioner desire to pull any of the consent items? Seeing none, we will go to public comment. If you're here for 15 or 29, those 2 items have been pulled at this point. So if you, Ms. Dominique, would call the name and the item number which they wish to speak upon, we'll have you up for a few minutes.
All right, we have one speaker, Gray Wilson, here to talk about agenda item 11.
Mr. Wilson, welcome.
Thank you.
And for those in the audience, that is the final plat for Preserve at Deer Lake Subdivision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gray.
And of course, Mr. Wilson, your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners. Gray Wilson, 5044 Shoreline Circle. I'm here with the, as board of directors for the Friends of the Kaiser River on this item. First off, I want to thank each commissioner for meeting with us a while back on this, this particular item. And we're not here to oppose it or in favor of it, but we're here to follow up on some of our conversations and bring forth to you some of the items that were requested. And I'll try to, get right to that. I requested this matter, I wasn't sure of the process, but pulled to highlight a concern Friends has regarding the layout of this project, with the hope of having this board confirm that this layout will not be utilized or relied upon as an approved standard for a clustered subdivision moving forward. Typically, clustering involves smaller lot sizes, with home grouped in pockets or so-called clusters where the remainder of the land preserved as open space, conservation area, or parks and recreation. Rather than a true cluster development, the plan before you this morning for final plat approval is more akin to a traditional rural subdivision. Larger lot widths impose the 100-foot minimums and a development pattern that is linear in fashion with minimal buffers and not a substantial percentage of open space. In meetings with your staff, they have indicated that this project and layout would not be permissible under the county's current land development code and the county's more recently adopted clustering definitions, and we're appreciative of that. That said, to avoid more plans like the one before you today, Friends suggest that it might be beneficial to include illustrative examples of what the county is looking for in a cluster subdivision versus a more conventional subdivision, and welcome the opportunity to work with staff in coming up with examples that could be included in the county's land development code. Since they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, I brought a few illustrated examples of clustered subdivisions versus conventional subdivision layout that Friends located in various codes and publications. And I think you have that in front of you. Yeah, you flip that. The next one there. Yeah, what we see here, I brought a poster, and a lot of times I bring some poster, they take it. But I included that in your packet, and I didn't know if that precluded taking the poster, which might be clearly seen. I wanted to show you clearly where the Wekiva River Protection Area is. Oftentimes that boundary is like vague, and it's always bothered me. And so I went out of my way to make sure it's really clear where this is. So I'd like to just show this to you.
And
So I will
Mr.
go to the county attorney. Typically, anything that's used for demonstrative purposes, we keep.
It's in the packet.
I understand. So, yeah, I want to make sure that you
No,
get a
just-
packet to the clerk, number one. And number two, are we okay with not keeping the poster?
Yes, as long as it's the same thing.
Great.
It's fine.
It is.
Just wanted to clarify.
Charity doesn't have room for the
So
poster.
this is a little clearer definition of
Right.
where.
Greg, can you stand at the podium, see, so we can hear and see you on camera?
This area in black is the protected area, state mandated, and part of which is in Seminole County, shared with Lake County, and shared with Orange County. And so the development that we're talking about is the blue, if you see in your packet, and that's where the located is. And this is a map that's pulled out by the St. John's Water Management District, showing high recharge areas where this project is. Okay, so thank you for that. So a couple examples. First off, those are the definitions that are currently in the code, and we much appreciate the little tweak we gave to that to make it clear. And you turn to the Yorkville one. Here's a quick example of what was asked to bring forward. If you look at the one on the left, that is something that was assigned a pretty wide frontage. And when you go to a cluster, if you tie the hands of the developer and you say, we're going to provide you like we did on Deer Lakes. It was out of your hands. Deer Lake's been around since 2007. Once that 100-foot minimum went in there, it's hard to force a cluster, because then you're forced to do that, to give that 100-foot wide, and you can't get that down to a cluster. And so you can see what happened in the one to the right. Same amount of homes, less dense in terms of the property, or not less, the same density for gross, but we're protecting the area, which is the goal. This is an area in the basin, is an area that needs protection. And so the clustering is an allowable method, unobjectable, where this can be accomplished. And I think the conversations we had with each of you, I think you all got it, and that's what we're trying to provide here. The next one is something that goes back quite a ways, to the 60s in my urban sociology classes, that shows, if you look at the rectangular and the curvilinear at the bottom, that's how this could end up. But you could take either one of those, and you could create something like this pattern, which reduces the lot sizes, keeps the same amount of units, and the overall benefit for the developer is there's less infrastructure, there's less roadways, and you're protecting the area, and oftentimes that area is more valuable to live in. So those are a couple examples. Also in your packet, you see multiple ones, and I didn't want to go through each one, but I was asked to consider bringing some examples. And I'm asking if this board would consider us working with staff a little bit, come up with some ones that you might want to consider to insert into the language, or maybe right below where the cluster language is under the definitions, where it's clear in the future, where the planning staff and yourselves can see, oh yeah, or the future folks that are sitting in your chairs could visually see that, hey, this is a cluster and this isn't a cluster. Because we're looking at Deer Lakes, and that's not a cluster. That's a cookie-cutter, regular development that doesn't belong here. It can be somewhere else. And I think we talked about that and kind of came to a consensus. We're not here to do anything other than make it clear in the future that we really don't want to have this particular project being referred to in the future as one that's going to appear there again. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. And just for clarification, Ms. County Attorney, this was not setting a precedent for future projects, correct?
No, it does not.
Yeah. And we have changed the code with clustering. As far as what illustrations we may use, I would ask staff, consider those, bring it forward, and then we can have discussions about it. Okay.
So are you asking for consensus from the
Yes.
board to give the county manager that direction?
Yes.
Okay, then I would concur.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
I-
sure
I'm
that
not
it wasn't
disagreeing with you.
unilateral.
I just want to make sure that we're all acknowledging that we do.
Yes, I think
And
that's
thank you,
good.
Commissioner Lockhart, because I think this was something we followed up with, the conversation we had with you, and appreciate this board and working with you on this. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. All right. Any other speakers for the consent items?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we will close public input and go to board action.
Chairman,
Please, Commissioner Herr.
I move item number 4, 5 through 38, minus 15 and 29 for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Seeing none, carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We will now move on to our regular agenda items. Please note, item 41, if you're here for item 41, that has been pulled. We will go to item 39, which is opioid core funding opportunities. Mr. John Greenwood with Goldfinch.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about primary prevention opportunity. in helping address the billions of leftover opioids after
Mr.
surgery
Greenwood,
each year.
just state your name and address for the
Sorry,
record first.
John Greenwood, Goldfinch Health. I'm the COO, and I'm in Iowa City, Iowa, but feel like I should just go ahead and move down here, so it'd be a lot warmer too. But thank you so much for the opportunity to speak again. I know we'd spoken a while ago about helping your employees who are heading towards surgery to make sure that they were able to get back to work sooner and reduce the number of opioids. But additionally, what we've been working on is helping the hospitals to change how they're treating pain so that everyone, not just those lucky enough to be employed by, have this as an employee benefit or have Goldfinch's employee benefit, but that everyone ultimately in the community benefits from the science behind what we're doing called enhanced recovery. So you guys may know a little bit, or you may have remembered my own personal story. I'm sorry if this is redundant for some others. I know Commissioner Herr's heard it a couple times, but it's important to emphasize just what this is. This isn't about just the opioids. This is about treating pain better and providing better health care, and as a result, we need far, far fewer opioids. In fact, this is my son on the left who needed to have a major surgery. He's actually needed a dozen, but one of the most sorry, it still chokes me up, but one of the most traumatic was when he needed a 7-hour, what's called a cranial synostosis and frontal orbital advancement. It's just as intense as it sounds. The surgeons had told us that they're going to need to make a major incision from one ear over the top to the other so they could harvest part of his skull. They could then bore down and rebuild out his orbital socket because he has a cleft eye bar, and they needed to rebuild all this bone structure out. And so they said that we just need to be prepared for a 7 to 10 day hospital stay where they could, quote, begin to get the pain and the swelling under control. That's the part that chokes me up. But we were able to advocate for what's called enhanced recovery. That's the core behind what we're doing, but it is dramatically better at preparing a patient towards surgery, setting aside the way we've always done it, which oftentimes includes lots of opioids and saying you can't have anything to eat or drink. But so we were able to get this for Reed, and instead of all of those opioids and being snowed for 7 to 10 days, post-op day 2, the neurosurgeon came in and said, oh my God, who is this kid? He was on the floor playing with his brother, all smiles, and turns around and says, hi, Dr. Reynolds. They're buddies by now. And ultimately, he never one time complained about pain, and he never one time needed a single dose of opioids. It's not because we were restrictive or that we're trying to prove a point. We're trying to hold opioids in the proper place, which is one of the latter things that we grab, and not the first thing. And so we were able to go home 4 days early. Again, no one's happier. And just as a quick update, he needed, just recently in November, he needed to have a major facial reconstruction to rebuild out that eyelid. There's 140 external stitches right there. Similar deal. This is very innervated. So now I'm talking about neurosurgery, I'm talking about peds plastics and oculoplastics. And similarly, we were able to get him this enhanced recovery, and his recovery was remarkable. We were able to go home the same day and actually see what his preschool classmates had made for him. Because still in this day and age, prescribing is a challenge. It is the leading feeder to new opioid prescriptions. Major inroads have been made in Florida. We're now down to 40 prescriptions per 100 people, but that's still, and in Seminole County, it's 33, but that still means there's every other patient is getting a prescription for opioids annually in the state, and there's an opportunity to really be an example for the rest of the state and help your own community as well. Because just in May, a JAMA article published that 75% of fentanyl users got started on a valid prescription. This backs up the heroin data. Previously, 85% or 80%. People are either getting their own pills, that's what's feeding it, or diverted pills, which I know is my own family's situation. So we really still need to address overprescribing, and while restrictions have been had an impact, they're doing just that. They're restricting the options of how to address pain, which can have a number of challenges. We're not anti-opioids, we are pro-alternatives first. Because the other thing that's worth pointing out, even though there's thousands of articles on not only enhanced recovery, but on the opioid epidemic, another critically important part is that 30% of Medicaid patients, when they're opioid naive, meaning they haven't had an opioid within 6 months, are still on it after 3 months when they get one prescription. So our most vulnerable patients. And who's on Medicaid? That's a lot of moms and babies, which you can tell I get very fired up about. So just briefly, worth mentioning too, one of the things that we do, we're actually providing education to the hospitals. We're going directly to the providers. This is what the pharmaceutical companies did so brilliantly with $200 million a year marketing campaign, getting us thinking that opioids are synonymous with pain pills or the good stuff. The reality is they're neither. Opioids have an impact on pain, but it's by activating your dopamine system. So they're trying to help you feel good while the rest of your body is trying to tell you it's got a major problem with that surgery. And that's a battle sometimes we lose because that's not actually addressing an underlying pain. And that's why we point to, I'm going to, for brevity's sake, just point to that graph on the bottom right. Part of what we're educating the providers on, because I know I'm 44, I was taught this in college, that opioids are non-addictive and that you can't be, if you're in pain, you can't get addicted. All these falsities. There's an opportunity to write that. Because the really great news is, if you can see on the bottom right there, ibuprofen and acetaminophen were shown with a National Safety Council study to be 3 times more effective than Percocet, Vicodin, Norco, all of those other things. Because they're actually addressing the what's called the peripheral prostaglandins, meaning the actual site of your pain. They're working on your central nervous system. And so by the time it gets to that brain, the mu receptors, it may not be necessary. This is exactly what we did for Reed. One other quick note, Percocet has acetaminophen in it, but it's pediatric strength acetaminophen. Why would we ever think that's going to help an adult who just had a C-section or a knee replaced? So this is a part of the education that we're actually providing to the surgeons and doctors on how to address pain. My background is in pharmacology, and my co-founder is a PharmD. We get deep in the weeds, including the number of prescriptions, the doses that are being prescribed. The difference between a 3-day prescription for opioids and a 10-day is a 3-fold increased risk of addiction potential. If you give a 2-week supply, it's a 4-fold. If you were to write a month supply, which we can all agree is too much, it's not that much riskier than writing that 10-day supply. So really, the volume matters, and we help support providers to write within the Johns Hopkins and Michigan open prescribing habits, which is basically 0 to up to 20 pills, not these 40, 60 pills, et cetera. So just as a brief synopsis, I'll get to exactly what we do. We come in and we help make enhanced recovery adoption easy for the providers. It's things like, how you can't have anything to eat or drink after midnight before your operation. Well, we do away with that. The American Society of Anesthesiologists has been saying for 25 years we got to stop starving and fasting people going into surgery. They're already more vulnerable. And what we should have is a Gatorade or another clear drink, sports drink, before the operation even begins. Another critically important part, and this is the hard work of what we do, is we actually go in and help to change standing orders. So before the procedure even begins, now that they can have a glass of water or a Gatorade, we're getting the patients a little TLC. Tylenol, 1,000 milligrams. Lyrica, which is for nerve pain, and Celebrex, we do a lot of education around. It's just like ibuprofen, except they typically say no ibuprofen because it can thin your blood. Celecoxib does not. That kind of education and changing those standing orders, that's the great thing, is that changing standing orders is hard. That's the bad news. The good news is changing standing orders is hard. So once it's implemented, that becomes the new normal. And then, of course, we're providing perioperative nurse support. We're basically a team of nurses reaching out to the patients, making sure they're prepared for surgery, and post-operatively checking in with the patient saying, hey, Tylenol and ibuprofen, those are different drugs you can take together. This is normal, that's not. And we're able to provide that reporting back to you. That's just a bit of a synopsis of what I just described. The clinical support, we're actually going in and counter-detailing, kind of doing what the pharmaceutical reps were doing. But we're changing standing orders, which is very tangible. We provide each of the patients with the Prepared for Surgery toolkit. You can see up there, is that bottle. So we say don't eat or drink anything after midnight except your medicine. That's been shown to have a dramatic improvement. All of these things, including the drug disposal bag in the back right, have been shown to be way outsized value. Even a probiotic there, that's $2 in probiotics, reduces infections by 50%. So it's very conscious of it. And then that perioperative nurse support. And so what does that all translate to? A 60% reduction in the entire healthcare system, the hospital, in their opioid prescribing, and a 92% reduction in refills. That is a critical part. When someone comes back for more, they are on a very different bus than the rest of us. So we will be able to reduce that opioid prescribing and refills because we're treating pain better the way it maybe always would have been. And that's translated to it's a 1.4% ER visits, where the benchmark is about 7% for mostly major orthopedic procedures. And even challenging patients, we've had 14 languages our last quarter that we're using and deploying. The program is also peer-reviewed. We've been around for several years deploying this. Just published in April in the Journal of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. Our data was handed over to the Rothman Institute and Drexel University. They wrote it up and submitted it to JOS, which is the premier orthopedic journal, showing in orthopedics in our pilot a 30 to 50% reduction in opioids being prescribed. We've also now been, we're also active in Tennessee and South Carolina and Nebraska and Alabama and Iowa. This is very well established, very well understood. The science behind what we're doing and the deployment of this has been really, really effective and frankly, really, really exciting too. So just as one quick aside, if we're talking too about the return on the value of this, not only is there studies ranging that at every addiction that we could prevent saves $250,000 to more than $1 million, but even in the 90-day recovery period, this is our next publication with Rothman, in the 90-day recovery period, we're saving between $5,000 and $12,000 in direct healthcare costs. So this can be a dramatically impactful. And really all we're asking is to take a portion of the opioid settlement funds to help us train the providers on how to address pain better, supported by enhanced recovery after surgery, so that we can turn the page on this opioid epidemic and get back to treating pain the way we always should have been and seeing these dramatic results for your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Chairman, I have comments.
Go ahead, Commissioner Herr.
So I am fully supportive. I actually would like to ask our team to look into, with your support, whether or not this is a possibility for looking into the only prevention program in opioid use in the community. Right now, what we do is we have a fabulous program for helping people become unaddicted after they're addicted, but we're not addressing it from a preventative perspective. This doesn't negatively impact the patient. It positively impacts the family. It actually reduces the overall cost of care in the market, and at some point the mission for this firm from the very beginning of time has been to put themselves out of business. This isn't a long-term investment. This is a short-term investment for a long-term gain. Because the bad news is changing the doctor's orders is really hard. The good news is changing the doctor's orders is really hard. They haven't changed for 40 years. So I think this is worthy of us looking into. This was piloted by the Sheriff's Office in their employee benefit program when Goldfinch was very early on. The results there have been amazing. The feedback from the employees has been amazing. But we can't do it one employer at a time, and we sit in a very unique position in order to be able to positively influence the community. I will tell you that John's family was personally impacted by losing a family member to this. You all know that I was as well. And all of that started with somebody writing a prescription. We used to think that the drug dealers, I'll date myself in terms of age, was the guy on the street corner by the 7-Eleven that had the bars in the windows. That's not the case anymore. This addiction is starting in doctors' offices, unknown to them. So I think it's worthy of our staff looking into. I would like your support in doing the same. We have the opportunity to change the trajectory of this problem in our community. Think of how much we spend every year on Narcan. Maybe we can stop that level of spending. Not stop that spending, because there will always be a problem. But if we lower the addiction rates, the savings hit literally every segment of our population.
Commissioner Lockhart.
So there was no ask in the agenda item, so I was sure you weren't taking your time to come and give us this information without there being an ask. So now I know what the ask is. Yes, everything that was just said, I'm sure is wonderful, but I'm a little taken aback because we had a process and we went through a procedure for allocating opioid funds. So can staff tell us where we are with that process?
So the ask isn't to undo that. The ask is for this to be considered at some point. It's just for consideration.
Okay, I just
And
want
it's
to.
my ask.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand what the at some point might be, because I'm not aware of the time frame and what's next. I don't know.
It's annually. Yes, please.
So As the board recalls, a year ago this month, the opioid settlement funds were designated to 4 categories, one of which is the Hope and Healing Center, secondly, the SCORE team at the Sheriff's Office, thirdly, Recovery Connections for wraparound services, and finally, a NOFA process. The NOFA was awarded this March to Brevard Prevention Coalition to implement a youth education campaign. We are under a contract with the state of Florida. So if this board would like us to revisit how those monies are allocated, the staff can do that and would need to bring that back to you for approval. While there is no time designation on that, it wasn't our intention to bring it back at a year. We were looking at more 3 to 5 years. But the money will start decreasing as early as 3 years or even 5 years. So we'll have to revisit how it's allocated. There are state funds, the core funds, you may recall us talking about those. Those are allocated by the state. However, they are not monies that we have a voice into. I will say, and Kelly Welch is here, she's the subject matter expert, but Kelly, I know, has been speaking regularly with John to talk about connecting him with the right people at DCF who could potentially also support Goldfinch's efforts, since those monies have a little more flexibility than ours. But additionally, I will mention, if this board wanted us to look at funding outside of the opioid settlement funding, we would need to go out most likely to a procurement process through procurement. I hope that's somewhat helpful.
Can I ask just a couple of follow-ups?
Sure, absolutely. Go right ahead, because I've got several.
Okay. So there's a pot of money that has essentially been allocated via this contract that's already in existence. So if we were to revisit that contract, those other items that you identified would have to be reduced in order to make room for more. Is that?
Potentially,
okay.
Yes.
Because we don't, or are we expecting that there will be more funds added to this bucket?
No. The opioid settlement funds are at a certain amount, and they will decrease over the years.
Okay.
But they're
That being said,
recurring?
there was just a,
They're recurring, yes.
So let the commissioners debate this.
So, well, I don't even know what I'm debating. I clearly don't have enough information, because I really thought that this was more of an informational item, and frankly, I thought, because I was already familiar with the process, and my husband had knee surgery, and we utilized this methodology, and so I was familiar with it enough, and I was like, oh, yeah, I know about that. But I didn't realize that there was going to be a request to modify. So I'm processing it for the first time. So I'll probably have more questions, so I'll defer my questions for others that may have already had other thoughts.
So my take on it is, obviously, there's a lot of passion here. I think there's a lot of things that we all agree upon with the opioid crisis. But I'm going to say that a medical decision is between the patient and the provider and the caregiver. And it's their decision to be treated in which fashion they believe is best, whether that's opioids or something else. And as you gave your presentation, the question I was asking myself, why are you here? I can't tell the doctors what to do. We can't pass legislation to tell the doctors to do or not do something. I think it's a very great idea what your company's undertaken. We have already done an OPA process, and it was my understanding when we did that was a 3 to 5 year process for those programs. But finally, if it's this board to reopen this, then I want a presentation, just like we received today, from each and every applicant, which is outside the procurement realm of what we typically do. It's typically done at the staff level. So if we're going to change all that, for me, I need to know what all we're going to change, and every entity should have the equal right to come present to this board what they believe they're doing great and best for the community in the opioid realm. I'm not prepared to support anything moving forward in this realm. I think staff, we've got the NOPA process already in place. We've already made that decision. If staff wants to, I have no problem with staff meeting with these folks, having that discussion. If you all believe it's better we reopen the process and re-rank what people are going to do best for our community, then I think that's a decision that I would make with additional information from staff that, yeah, let's open the process back up. Let's go tell the people we already awarded the awards to that we're clawing it back and reopening it. and we're going to reopen the contracts and all those kinds of things. That's where I stand from that aspect.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Delary.
Thank you. John, I really feel for your family. I think it's amazing that your son is doing as well as he is, and God bless him and God bless your family. Thank you. I think it's great that you actually brought this to our attention. I did reach out to a couple of folks in the industry, and the one that I reached out to was at the School of Global Health Management and Informatics with UCF. And what they told me about the opioid crisis is that there's 4 waves to the opioid crisis. And again, I have very little personal knowledge of opioids, thank God. First wave was from 1999 to 2007 was the prescription opioids. I think that's kind of what you're talking about here. And it kind of wrapped up somewhere around 2017. And then the second wave was 2010 to 2017, which is the heroin portion. And then the third wave was 2013 to present, which was the synthetic opioids and the fentanyl. And then the fourth wave was from 2015 to present, which was the polysubstance use, which is the fentanyl and the stimulants added together. That's where we really are. I think what staff is doing, I think the program they put together is very holistic. I think that we need to rely on the process. They spent quite a bit of time vetting everything out. As we've heard here today, I think the process is a good one, and I'm okay with the way it is right now. We've heard from our staff, Ms. Johnson, that in 3 years, you said they're going to open it?
I'm generalizing.
2 or 3 years.
We can bring it back tomorrow if you'd like. We kind of based it, though, to get traction in the plan at least 3 years.
I think we should get traction because of the different waves that are happening. The prescription wave that we talked about, or at least that I've found out, it's in the past. That's not really where it's at right now. So if you're talking about the epidemic of opioids, it's not really in the prescription market, from what I understand. And again, I'm not in the medical industry, so don't quote me on this. But, you know, this is basically from a fentanyl and a stimulus standpoint. But I really think that the program we have in place is appropriate, and I'm okay with standing as is. And if we want to get back into this, then we need to look at all 4 different waves and bring in some experts so we can all vet it and understand how all the epidemic has been working and not working.
Anyone else? Commissioner Hurd.
So I think the article probably comes from a different viewpoint. The fact that the numbers of prescriptions that are leaving doctors' offices today still exist are pretty significant, and the fact that refills still happen, that is real. But then you move into other categories because we shut down the pill mills and we shut down the volume that's going out. People still become addicted, and then they go down all of those paths, Commissioner Delary, and that's what they're delineating. I do still think it's worth, at the point that we went down the path of opioid settlements, the opportunity to educate physicians, and that's the ask. This isn't about getting in the way of a physician's directive. This is about educating a physician with the best science that's available today, as opposed to using the education that was obtained through the industry, the pharma industry, and we all know that happens. So the request, from my perspective, is that we at least allow staff to think about whether or not there are opportunities that are out there that we're missing, because at the time that we did this, they didn't exist. And that's the piece of it. It's not about undoing. I don't necessarily know that you would have to take away from one to give to another. That research hasn't been done. We're making assumptions to that. It was about opening our minds to maybe we need to think about this.
So from my perspective, again, I'm not interested in moving forward with any more. This is an education process for health providers. I have no interest in telling a doctor or those individuals what they should and shouldn't do. They are educated. We had our good sheriff in here not long ago that clearly told us that the opioid pandemic has had a significant decline over the past several years.
Deaths, because we're reviving them with Narcan.
And so I don't think this is in my wheelhouse or our wheelhouse. If staff wants to have discussion, fine. I think I'm fine with where we're at with our consultants or those partners that we've already contracted with and moving forward. If that opens back up, I would encourage Goldfinch to, or anybody else for that matter, to apply for those funds. But because of today's activities, I think if that occurs, in all fairness, all those would have to be able to give a, and had I known this was going to be an ask, I wouldn't have been in favor of this to start with.
This isn't an ask for funding, this is an ask for
Well, it was an ask, the gentleman's
consideration.
clearly just asked during his presentation, thus to consider funding from our opioid settlement funds. That was exactly what the gentleman asked for.
Through our process.
Sure. Commissioner Lockhart.
Tricia, you mentioned briefly Tallahassee, through DCF. Is there a specific line item in the state's budget that we're aware of that something like this could be funded from that we could support through our efforts via Tallahassee?
So we receive core dollars, and when I say we, the state has core dollars that they administer. We have assisted with some of those dollars that are designated simply for hospital emergency departments. So Kelly Welch has assisted with those processes. The rest of those monies are allocated only through the state. There is Central Florida Cares. You might remember that name. We mentioned it when we presented it, but it's been about a year. They help administer the opioid dollars that come down from the state to the counties. So they're a great contact that I know Kelly has been working with to try to support Goldfinch and to connect them at the state level.
So has the state retained dollars for dispersal from
Yes.
them that doesn't actually come to the counties?
Yes, there are additional
Okay.
opioid dollars that are outside of the county's purview.
Okay. And so could I just ask, have you pursued those?
Yes, we're in the works of approaching the state about the core dollars. We obviously wanted your approval on it. And the interesting thing about the core dollars is they're diminishing over time. As Commissioner was saying, is that our goal is to come in and diminish over time as well, so that we can kind of upload this, but then we go away once those changes are made. Sort of aligns well with the timeline of those payouts.
Okay.
All right, anything else on this item? Thank you very much, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is our Midway Drainage Improvement Project update. Mr. John Slott from Public Works, along with his team of experts here to give us a presentation. I see we have some of the folks from the Midway area that are here in the audience today. Welcome. We're glad to see some of you here. Mr. Slott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. John Slott, Public Works Director. Yes, sir, we are here to give an update on the Midway Drainage Improvement Project. We also wanted to especially thank the Midway Coalition, specifically Mr. Green, for meeting with us prior. I think he was in here just a second.
Mr. Green's right
there. He is walking in. So timing is everything. Hammer. So meeting with us and discussing this status. We're pretty excited. This has been a long journey for the community and for the commission. And with your direction and dedicated focus, we have some pretty good news to tell you today. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to George Jimenez, who's the project manager in our engineering group, to discuss the status of the project.
Mr. Jimenez, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Okie dokie. So, hello, this is a Midway Drainage Improvement Project update. Here's an outline of what we will cover today. We're going to start with some history and timelines and go right into the update for each of the bid packages and end with our next steps and some time for questions. Our main objective today is to provide you with an update for each of the bid packages, bid package 1 and 2, and related items. The original Midway Basin study was done in 1997 and resulted in the construction of several projects to reduce flooding. The community has since grown and has strained the existing system. The basin study was then updated in May of 2021. The study created a comprehensive model essentially of the entire area and recommended 5 projects to be built to mitigate flooding. These 5 projects were grouped into 2 separate bid packages for the design and construction, bid package 1 and bid package 2. And we'll cover what those mean in a second, in the next few slides here. Seminole County has received federal and state grants to assist with the funding and final design and construction of the project, starting with the BCC's approval of the ARPA funds in August of 2021. Here's a snapshot of our timeline. The updated basin study concluded in May of 2021, followed by the BCC's approval of the ARPA funds in August of 21 for the design and construction of the project. The procurement of the design consultant followed, who was given the notice to proceed in May of 2022 to finish the design and prepare construction documents. There's been several public and community meetings starting in November 2023. The county has also been executing our right-of-way communication plan, which includes door-to-door knockings, registered mail, and postcards to the property owners. I'll also note that we do provide monthly updates to the community as well via email. Here's a snapshot of, or a summary of our funding for the project. The project secured funds from the third generation penny sales tax, from ARPA, and 2 grants totaling $21.4 million. An additional $12.1 million is anticipated to come from the fourth generation penny sales tax to cover the project's total estimated cost of $33.5 million. I'll note that as of today, we spend roughly $10 million on right-of-way and design costs. So bid package 1 mainly focuses on the western and northern part of the community, where bid package 2 mainly focuses on the eastern part of the community. Each bid package was further grouped into sub-bid packages in order to, in efforts to expedite the preparation of construction documents and to start construction. Bid package 1 was split into sub-bid package 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. And bid package 2 was split into 2A, 2B, and 2C. The total cost estimate for bid package 1 is just over $13.6 million, and the total cost estimate for bid package 2 is just under $20 million. So now for our individual sub-bid package updates. So for sub-bid package 1A, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way acquisition is complete for this section. The sub-bid package construction documents have been created and are ready for release, and the construction estimate for this portion is $3.2 million. For sub-bid package 1B, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way acquisition is pending. The sub-bid package construction documents have been created and are ready for release, and the construction estimate for this section is $2.3 million. For sub-bid package 1C, the design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way is pending. Right-of-way acquisition is pending. The sub-bid package construction documents and construction estimate are currently being prepared. For sub-bid package 1D, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way acquisition is pending. The sub-bid package construction documents and construction estimate are currently being prepared. And for 1E, sub-bid package 1E, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way acquisition is pending, and the sub-bid package construction documents and estimate are currently being prepared. For sub-bid package 2A, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. The right-of-way acquisition is pending, and the sub-bid package construction documents and estimate are currently being prepared. For sub-bid package 2B, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way acquisition is complete for this section. The sub-bid package construction documents and estimate are currently being prepared as we speak. And finally, for sub-bid package 2C, our design is 100%, sorry, there we go. I thought I clicked the button. So for sub-bid package 2C, our design is 100% complete and all permits have been acquired. Right-of-way acquisition is pending, and the construction documents and estimate are still being prepared. So to follow with our next steps, we will continue to prepare the remainder of the sub-bid package construction documents. We aim to release the bids that are ready, mainly for sub-bid package 1A, 1B, and 2B, and we aim to start construction at the end of this year. So that concludes our presentation. I'll bring it back one slide, and I'll open it up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Herr. This is Commissioner Herr's district. We'll let you kick this one off, Commissioner Herr, and good work on fostering this along.
This has been like giving birth to an elephant, although I don't know what that's like, just for the record category. First of all, let me start by thanking a bunch of people for this. This commission for supporting this initiative. George and John for picking up seamlessly. You both came into an existing process, we'll call it that, and actually scooted it along pretty nicely once you got on board. For the communication team, for the right-of-way communication that's happened, that has all been different from what we typically do. We've been down this path before. Mr. Green gave me a really good education of how this was attempted in the past, and it didn't go well, and how we had to work hand in hand in order to accomplish that, and we did that. The monthly communications are magical. Those updates are magical. I will also tell you that the dashboard is pretty darn awesome and one of the first in the county. Splitting the bid packages, I'm going to give out a shout out to John Dredge for that. When we thought we were struggling to get right away, we came up with a different alternative and a way to get shovels in the ground, which would increase the ability to bring it together. Legal for doing all sorts of things to make acquisitions happen, and that has been phenomenal. And last but most important, to the community for the support that you've given all along the way. Some of the guidance, some of it, Emery and I have had very, very tense meetings about this that have all been wildly productive, and that is how the country should work. And I am grateful for that. Different opinions don't mean that you can't come to a conclusion that benefits the community, and I think we share that as an example. So with that, good work. Let's keep it going. I want to be there when the shovels are there, and I want to be there riding up and down those roads when the water's not on them.
Without a canoe.
Right.
Without a canoe, no boots.
Commissioner Lockhart?
Yeah, I'll just echo the great work to everybody in the team. I actually was a staff member here when it didn't work well, and actually met Mr. Green's parents for the first time 20 years ago when they came in and were the ones advocating for this project and other similar projects. So this is literally a generational project. I think our team has done an exceptional job of laying the foundation for what other projects of this magnitude in the county could look like and be successful. I think the communication is incredibly important. So shout out to everybody who's been a part of that. I do have a question about right-of-way acquisition. Do we foresee that being able to be successfully wrapped up? Have we identified any potential hiccups? What is our timeline? I guess that was kind of like three questions in one, but all in the same vein.
Thank you, Commissioner. So that's a multifaceted question, as you know. So we have been working with the community quite a bit with regular communication, negotiation. Our next steps are really to tackle off the final parts of the bid package. We're currently looking at what those dates will be. The intent on these three that are listed here is to break ground this year. So that's the great news side. The other ones, we have the key retention areas already identified, but it's just a few more parcels that we have to work one-on-one. For further explanation, I can turn it to our right-of-way manager on that and have his feedback as well, if you'd like.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful.
Okay. Thank you.
Neil, can you come join us?
Hello, Neil Newton, Office of Real Estate.
So my question had to do with right-of-way acquisition. Do we foresee everything going smooth sailing, no problems, we're going to wrap this right up? Or do we foresee there being some potential hiccups, and if we identified those, and how long do we think this is going to take?
They've been identified for a while, yes, and we've done our best to kind of group them in certain categories. And we've addressed them, each group, in whatever manner was needed for that. We think, especially, the board approved a resolution today that amended approved an amended resolution that dealt with the code enforcement matters that we have out there. So that was a big hurdle. So that's going to take care of a number of parcels. We've gotten down now with those groupings and everything else. We've got probate matters that we're dealing with. Those are wrapping up. As a matter of fact, we're going to have anticipating maybe about between 5 and 8 to close by next week. So those are kind of stacking up the dominoes, and now they're starting to fall. The ones that are more challenging for various reasons, some of which are title issues and so forth, we're going to have to go through the approach of eminent domain just to resolve those matters, and that's down to about 6 properties.
Okay. That is so huge. When we started with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, to be down now to looking at maybe like 6 that might be problematic and require additional legal things. That's just great. So congratulations, really. Wonderful. And again, I give the community great credit for being a part of that effort, because there's a lot of trust involved in this process and this project in particular. And so to have those trusted voices in the community we couldn't have been here without them. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Laurie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Commissioner Lockhart, you're correct. I think the community should be complimented for their patience and also their trust. Thank you. And I know a lot of hard work's gone into it on all sides. I also would want to thank the staff for all their hard work. I had an interesting conversation about the process with our county attorney, Catherine LaCour. Heard from Jay Small, one of the attorneys, and he actually approached me and was very complimentary about our attorneys, about doing all this and helping the citizens through probate instead of condemnation. He said any other local government or state would have went through condemnation, and they still would have had the problems after the condemnation about what to do with the remaining pieces of property that they still own. By going through probate, they helped the community, the families, and actually cleaned up the issues. So I want to thank Catherine and her team for doing all that. So thank you, Catherine. And Jay also told me that this was the first time he's ever seen local government and their attorneys actually look at it from the resident side and actually go the extra mile for the probate. So you should also be commended as well as the engineers, as well as the citizens. So thank you, Catherine, for doing that. I know it's your staff, but you are that legal side. A lot of kudos to a lot of different people. I have a couple of quick questions. I'm all in favor of this project. There are some subdivisions that are outside the unincorporated side of Midway. Is there any effect on those communities that are in Sanford that we need to be aware of?
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me turn it over to George to talk about the overall basin and how its impacts might be.
Thank you, sir. If I may, perhaps a visual aid will help the overall map here.
Yeah, I'd like to go overall before I get specific, so yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Essentially, the projects that we're lumping here is to help flooding. We're adding a lot of storage and capacity to the system. We're updating an antiquated system. So our conditions are only going to make situations out here better. We have gone through permit review, and all that is clear. So we are confident in our design is sound and that it will help the community.
So we're not having any ill effect on the surrounding communities that is outside the county in the incorporated part of the city of Sanford?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. And then I know you're showing this diagrammatically. So are there any other right-of-way connecting these systems to each other that we need to be aware of, that we still have to purchase property, or is all the property that's going to be purchased been identified?
All the property that needs to be acquired has been identified.
Okay. And then after the roads get ripped up and new lines get put in, we're resurfacing the roads, and all that's included in the bid packages?
The bid packages include mainly the drainage improvements, and the full resurfacing will then be done using our resurfacing program, I believe, that is managed by Mr.
Okay, so that's a separate project altogether?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that we're setting the expectations correct, so that as one team goes in, does the work, they leave, another team has to go in at a later date.
The project, yes, sir.
I could take that. That's it. So to your point, Commissioner, as the board has directed us in the past, the capital maintenance program that is also in the one penny has a resurfacing program. That resurfacing program will take over once this project is done to resurface the roads and bring everything back up.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that how far after this project is done do those roads get resurfaced?
Yeah. We can come back to the board with a final update on that
I
one.
don't think that we should wait another year or two,
Absolutely.
because that could happen.
Complete understand.
Tell us how you know.
I've seen it happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to do it next year. I don't mean that literally, I mean facetious. I just want to make sure that it's somewhat seamless. I know that the residents will be patient, but to a point.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I think staff, county manager
Yes.
had something to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank our staff as well. You know, I came here 2.5 years ago, believe it or not, and I met with each of our county commissioners and asked them what their priorities were. As I was putting together the plan and I went to Commissioner Herr, she said, all right, my top 5 are Midway, 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 and Midway. Shortly after that, she introduced me to Mr. Green, who I really had the privilege of working with and had given me the history as well. One person, and I know we give a lot of kudos, but you know, when we have complex issues, especially on our operations side, I have our assistant county manager, Christian Swenson. So I want to give Christian a big shout out too, because he actually, and Commissioner Herr, rolled up their sleeves, and we were all in the room together figuring out how to put all this together. We had close to, 200 pieces of property, figuring out how we were going to do this, and all the obstacles and challenges that we had in the way. So to some of the folks maybe watching, maybe not, you know, this project's not complete, that you all understand, the staff understand, we have come a long way in this last couple of years. So thanks to you all for the support. Thanks to the staff, Mr. Slott and his staff getting on board, as well as our real estate office and Mr. Swinson and our legal team. So I just wanted to, it doesn't go without saying that this was a group effort, all coming together at one and making this happen.
No question at all. I've been following this before I've sat in this position, and quickly after I was elected, I was grabbed by Mr. Green, who said, you got to come for a ride. I knew these issues, some of these issues had existed for, quite frankly, decades, with the drainage issues over here in Midway. And when I started inquiring in my early part of my career, it was always too hard. This is too difficult. It's too many moving parts. People don't agree. You can't get the community on board. This should be a blueprint for these kind of challenges where the community and the stakeholders are working hand in hand with the municipal government to find the path forward to accomplish these things. And creative outside-the-box thinking, i.e. the county attorney's office, as well as the lien enforcement on the code enforcement liens, the creative way in which that 100% makes sense in these kinds of scenarios and not holding it up because of a family matter, if you can get through that process. So kudos to everybody involved, including the community. I know Mr. Green and I had several conversations, and my conversation with Mr. Green was, look, I think this government is willing, but the community's got to be willing. You held up your part of the bargain. I think we've held up our part of the bargain. We continue to work together with Commissioner Herr's guidance and shepherdship. I think we'll get to the end of the path and have a much better community and a stronger community when it's all said and done. So thank you all very much. I know we've had a lot of changes in engineering. This speaks volumes with you all as well, being able to keep the momentum rolling when we have those hiccups, which is just a matter of how things go in a big organization. So I think this is a win-win. You know, if we can share this blueprint with some of our sister counties, I think they would find it very fruitful process in order to get through. So thank everybody for working together so tremendously. And thank you, Commissioner Herr, for finally getting this thing worked through. Good work.
Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you for that. I cannot believe I left Kristen Swenson out. So teamwork makes dream work. Thank you. Thank you, Darren, for getting that.
I already heard about it later.
So Mr. Searsucker in the back of the room is responsible for a lot of the creativity, the hard drive. I see George is over there saying yes. He's in my office 4 times a week and calls at 10 o'clock at night saying, I have an idea. What do you think of this? And me saying, that might have been a good idea at 7 o'clock tonight, but at 10 it's not so good. He has been instrumental in this process, so I do apologize for that, Kristen.
The only other comment I would make is more related to the nuts and bolts and the overall cost. I didn't see the retention area that the county has put up, the property that the county's putting up for retention. I think it's 9 or 10 acres over on 415 that the county owns. Should that not be incorporated as the overall cost and the value assigned to that, to this project?
Would we do it on any other project?
Yeah, yes, sir. We can incorporate it.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it's taxpayers' dollars, taxpayer asset. It should be part and parcel of the overall project, so that's good. Just wanted to make sure of that. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Anybody here from the public want to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Seeing none? Thank you very much. All right, item 41 was pulled earlier, so if you're here for item number 41, reduction of lien request, that item has been pulled and will not be heard today. Next item we're going to go to is item 42, reduction of lien request, consideration of applicant Erlene Landingham's request for a total waiver due to financial and medical hardship. Alexis Valley.
Good afternoon.
Hi there.
Hi. Thank you. Alexis Valley, reporting on item number 42, clerk to the Code Enforcement Board. The address is 118 Plymouth Avenue in Altamont Springs, and the applicant is requesting a total waiver of the lien. The violation is for rubbish, and the request to reduce the lien is from $215,999.27 to $0. The applicant's daughter, who is the property owner's power of attorney, brought the property into compliance. This case was originally cited in April 2018 for the Seminole County violation of rubbish. On October 25th, 2018, the Code Enforcement Board issued a findings of fact requiring compliance no later than November 9th, 2018, or a fine of $100 per day may be imposed. On January 24th, 2019, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order finding noncompliance and imposing fine/lien for that time frame, $7,600 for 76 days of noncompliance, which continues to accrue at $100 per day until brought into compliance. The affidavit of compliance states that the violation was rectified as of October 4th, 2024, making the outstanding lien total that $215,999.27. This is a financial summary of the case. So it has the 2024 assessed value of the property listed around $49K, the daily accrued fine in total with the administrative costs associated with the case, bring it to that total. Review criteria. As the Deputy County Manager determined this request did not fail threshold Seminole County criteria, the following was evaluated: the amount of the lien as compared to the value of the property. The amount of the lien far exceeds the 2024 certified assessed value of the property. The actions taken or not taken by the property owners in attempting to abate the violation. The applicant's daughter, Phyllis Hall, organized for the property to be remedied in August 2024. Ms. Hall advised that she became her parents' permanent caregiver after they received related medical diagnosis in 2015. The amount of staff time expended, the non-compliance period spanned approximately 7 years, with the collective 11.7 hours of staff time per staff affidavits. Request for reduced amount. The applicant requests that the board make an exception to its established guidelines and reduce the total amount secured by the lien to $0. The applicant requests that the board additionally consider the following. Financial hardship. The amount of the lien far exceeds the value of the property, approximately 4 times. Financial hardship. Applicant reports a fixed income and a consequent inability to pay the outstanding lien, Social Security in the amount of $1,700. Medical hardship. The applicant provided documentation sufficiently demonstrating medical hardships. Administrative costs. Applicant requests a waiver of the administrative costs. So for the applicant requested action, the applicant requests that the board consider and make a final determination on applicant's request for a total waiver of the lien to $0, and should the lien amount be reduced, authorize the chairman to execute a satisfaction of lien upon payment of the approved reduced amount, if any. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff? Is Ms. Landingham or a representative here and wish to address the board?
Yes, sir.
Please come forward, ma'am. And just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, thank you. My name is Phyllis Hall. Address is 118 Plymouth Avenue. Not living there now.
Okay.
Because it's boarded up and abandoned.
Sure. Well, welcome.
I'm temporary living in Georgia right now with my daughters, me and my mom, which she's totally bedridden. So.
Okay. Great. Anything else you'd like us to know?
Well, yeah, thank you for having me today. I flew in and to get this resolved and get everything else business-wise taken care of. Yes, my mom, when we moved to Georgia, she recently just broke a femur. So now she's totally bedridden. So, and by the grace of God, I was able to retire from Seminole County, 36 years. And I moved my daughters. They say, just come on, and I'm caring for my mom. When I sold my home in 852 Darwin Drive in Altamont Springs, October of '24, that's when we noticed, I said, wow, look at my mom's house. So I hired a crew and get it all cleaned up. I called Duke Energy. How can I, can you remove the whole meter, everything? I don't, nobody in there. And I also called Seminole Counties. How can I seal up a home? I don't know how I say it, but
Sure.
They just told me to make sure you put no trespassing signs. I boarded up the windows, took away the meters so no squatters or whatever would move in there, what I think would probably happen before. So it's all cleaned up now, and hopefully I want to move back to fix it up, to move back me and my mom. She'll be 90 next month.
Oh, my. Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
No, ma'am.
Seeing none, thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here from the public to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public participation. We'll go to district commissioners. Commissioner Lockhart's district. Commissioner Lockhart.
Yeah. I understand aging parents, and I understand.
Yes, we do.
Keeping track of their assets. The distance from 852 Darwin Drive to 118 Plymouth Avenue is 2 miles over the course of those many years. So I'll make a motion to reduce the lien to $499.27, the administrative costs.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, we're now going to move to our public hearing agenda, and I will look for accepting proofs of publication.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimously. And of course, keep in mind, we already got 41, I'm sorry. Any ex parte disclosures from any of the commissioners? If so, how were they disclosed?
Mr. Chairman, I have some information that I had ex parte and emails and videos on item number 43. I'll be submitting that to the clerk.
Okay.
None to disclose?
I have none to disclose either.
I submitted mine electronically, and as soon as I dig them out of this binder, I'll hand them to Charity. You don't need them?
Okay, we will go to the county attorney for rules of engagement on the public on this matter.
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision and quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, information presented by county staff, information the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of the proceedings and the official minutes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Torr. We are going to hear from our staff, who will present the item first. We will ask the applicant if they wish to make any presentation to us. Then we will go to public input if there is any, and then we will move for board action preceding that. So please proceed.
Good afternoon, Hillary Payton, Planning and Development. This item is a request for a special exception for the Tehran Hookah Lounge for an alcoholic beverage establishment in the Deep Lake Plan Development on 4 acres located on the southwest corner of Aloma Avenue and Deep Lake Road. The applicant currently operates an existing hookah lounge with a 2 COP beer and wine alcohol license and is now requesting a special exception to increase their alcohol license to 4 COP liquor license for on-site consumption. The establishment was granted the beer and wine license in 2019 for incidental sales in association with the hookah lounge, as a special exception is required when the sale of alcohol is not incidental to other products offered for sale. It was later determined that per the Land Development Code, incidental sales only pertain to establishments selling groceries and household dry goods and bona fide restaurants. All other uses would require approval of a special exception. When the applicant requested to upgrade their alcohol license from 2 COP to 4 COP in 2024, staff determined that a special exception would be required for the alcoholic beverage establishment. The hookah lounge establishment sells hookah products, beer, wine, and appetizers, and is approximately 2,000 square feet in size, located within an existing shopping plaza. The establishment seats 62 patrons inside and 22 patrons on the outdoor patio for a total of 84 seats. The hours of operation are currently 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. 7 days a week. The Seminole County Land Development Code requires that any establishment selling alcoholic beverage for consumption on premise shall maintain separations from all churches and schools. The hookah lounge meets all separation requirements. In compliance with the Land Development Code, Section 30.3.5, Community Meeting Procedures, the applicant conducted a community meeting on April 3rd, 2025. Details of that community meeting have been included in your agenda package. The Land Development Code states that certain criteria must be met for the Board of County Commissioners to approve a special exception request. Staff finds that the request meets the 4 criteria with the recommended conditions as stated in the approval development order. In addition to the typical requirements of approval for special exceptions, staff is also recommending that the seating capacity be capped at 84 seats, that the outdoor patio area be closed at 10 p.m. each night, and that no amplified sound or entertainment occur outdoors at any time. Staff has received 1 letter of support and 4 letters of opposition from surrounding property owners, which has been provided in your agenda package and are demonstrated in the support and opposition map. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on May 7, 2025, and voted unanimously to recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve the special exception based on the conditions listed in the development order, with an additional condition to include a speaker volume regulator inside the establishment to control the sound volume of the music. The minutes are provided in your agenda package as well. Staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners approve the special exception with the conditions as stated in the associated development order for an alcoholic beverage establishment in the PD zoning district on 4 acres located on the southwest corner of Aloma Avenue and Deep Lake Road. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Payton. Any questions for staff at this point? Is the applicant here and wish to make a presentation? Ma'am, please come forward. If you would give us your name and address for the record.
Denise Morrill, Liquor License Professionals, 2200 Lucian Road, Maitland, Florida.
Okay, please proceed.
I just want to make a quick statement. Adding liquor will diversify offerings to customers who expect full-service beverage options, especially with most modern hookah lounges. Granting the 4-cup license would help support local small business, increase job opportunities, and generate additional tax revenue. This approval allows the lounge to attract a broader customer base and helps ensure its financial viability. The presumption that full liquor automatically leads to increased disturbances, noise, or crime is speculative and not based on specific operations or track record from Tehran Hookah Lounge. In fact, many establishments in similar settings operate responsibly with full liquor licenses under clear conditions. Tehran Hookah Lounge can be held to strict compliance with all county noise ordinances, security requirements, and closing hours. In conclusion, the request for a 4-cup license by Tehran Hookah Lounge represents a modest, manageable expansion of current operations. It does not warrant rejection based on fear or assumptions about liquor service. Instead, it should be viewed as a step toward supporting local business while maintaining community standards through oversight and accountability. I respectfully urge the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the special exception with any reasonable conditions it deems necessary to protect the public interest. The benefits of approval outweigh the unsubstantiated concerns, and the request is consistent with responsible development principles.
That it?
That's it.
Well, in all fairness, they've already approved it. This is the Board of County Commission. This is a different hearing.
Sorry.
Got to revise your script.
I get very, very nervous when I have to talk in front of people, so I wrote it down.
We're harmless. Well, thank you very much. We will now go for public input. Any members of the public here to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Morrell, you can make yourself at home there and have a seat. No one here from the public?
No, sir.
We will close public input and go, we have to board direction. We have a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lockhart has a question.
Yeah, Hillary, the support and opposition letters and emails that we received, I know are on this map, but when it's printed in black and white, you can't see which houses are which color.
I can show it to you on the overhead.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
It's one of those buttons.
So we have these two here and then the two here across the line.
And those are opposition.
Correct. Yeah, the support, oh, I guess you can't see it
Oh,
right here.
Hillary, I'm not understanding that.
Hillary, if you could pull the mic around, it might be helpful.
Can you hear me better?
So the house on Layton, which is farthest away, wrote an email of support.
Correct.
And the other 4 houses in red, which are closest to the establishment, wrote letters in opposition.
Correct.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Any additional questions for staff? Seeing none.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Sure.
Hillary-
Mr. Delory has some questions.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to ask the fire marshal to come forward if the fire marshal is present.
Madam Fire Marshal, are you with us this afternoon? I saw her earlier. There she is.
Mr. Chairman, looking at the packet, in our packet there is, it's not labeled for a page, but there are a bunch of photos here of the interior of an event that was April 28, 2024. At the time was approximately, it says 10:36, but I don't know if that's AM or PM. I'm going to have to assume it's PM because I don't believe that everyone will be at that place in the morning.
Is this a question for the Fire Marshal?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And looking at the photo, I mean, it looks like it's being run.
Could we get a copy of that for the Fire Marshal so she can track?
I didn't realize she
It's
didn't
in the
she didn't
item.
know it. Can we put that photo on the big screen?
And Commissioner Delory, while they're looking at that, I received videos that were actual links to what I believe these are screen
Well, I'm going to go there next.
snaps up. Okay. I didn't know if we had the video to actually play so
I
that.
don't know.
Okay.
That'd be my next question,
Okay.
Commissioner. It's okay. There's another photo. The next photo. And looking at that, I know the interior, from what staff's told us, there's supposed to be 60-some-odd people in the establishment, 60-plus, and then the other 20-some-odd outside. That looks like it's beyond their capacity, but I don't know that because it's hard to judge and look at the photos and count heads. But the question that I have is that if this is to be a full liquor, doesn't the tables and chairs have to be bolted down and not have all the open floor that you have here? And can you elaborate on that? Because the sprinkler system may not be designed correctly, and you would know that better than I would.
So you're correct, Commissioner Delary. When this was permitted, it was back in 2019.
Okay.
At such time, the plans did reflect fixed seating and fixed tables. So in the center of the location, they should have had fixed tables, and then around the perimeter would be fixed booths. And that was how we were able to determine and provide them an occupant load of 84 total for the establishment. With the removal of those tables and chairs, it would allow an increase, significant increase in the occupant load, as tables and chairs are usually counted by those number of tables and chairs, and then an open area such as that would easily be calculated at 3, 5, or even 7, which would increase the occupant load significantly. Any occupant load over 100 in a property or occupancy such as that, which is kind of like a nightclub, would require a sprinkler system. Currently, this property as a whole, the strip center, is non-sprinkled.
Non-sprinkled?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was not aware of that. I've not been inside this establishment. And would that also trigger, and it would be more for the building side, would that also trigger a change in use of the occupied space?
Correct. I mean, well, technically, it's considered a assembly,
Okay.
but there
That's right.
are additional requirements in both the fire code and the building code that both read similarly, which is when it's kind of a nightclub, discoteca kind of use, that it would then prompt the sprinkler at 100 or more than 100.
Okay. Thank you. Next question I have is for staff, because there were some videos that were showed to us.
Yes.
Can we show those videos? Is that possible?
Yes, sir.
What?
Great minds think alike.
I'm learning from you. You can teach an old dog sometimes.
I'll go there.
A moment to relight the flame. Get Weird Wednesdays returns for a one-night-only reunion. Wednesday night, May 28th, at Tehran Hookah Lounge. Underground music, local makers, fire dancers, and flow. Food, drink, and hookah on site. Indoor and outdoor spaces from 9 to 2 a.m. Let's gather under the moonlight and get weird again. A night to...
Thank you. I have a question now, again, for the fire marshal after seeing the video.
Yeah, I guess you would.
Chief, I'm not trying to lead you, but in looking at the video, I think I saw some fire. Can you expound on that and how that would be allowed or not allowed?
So any open flame proposals would have to be permitted through our department, and we would establish specific parameters if we would allow such use. So that's open flames upon a proximate audience, which requires then significant safety features to be implemented to allow it, as well as maybe a fire watch by one of our personnel. But it definitely would require a fire permit for every event.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. President, I see this not being used as it was intended to presently as a hookah lounge establishment. I think it's a little bit more than what the intent was permitted for. I don't think that the use of a full liquor license is appropriate for the building that it's there today. And with what we've seen in our packet, I don't think it'd be appropriate, and I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to deny the request for a full liquor license.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. I do have a question for staff before we call the vote. Can you go back to the very end of your presentation, staff's request?
The conditions of approval?
Yes. So we've just seen a few things. We've heard from the fire marshal. My question is, how do any of these fit into what the fire marshal just addressed with the change in use that got us to a special exception support from staff?
Good afternoon, Jose Gomez, Development Services Director. So some of these special conditions address some of those concerns, such as requiring capping it at 84 seats, as well as closing the patio at 10 p.m. each night to reduce the sound, concerns about sound. And it also states that the 84 total seats may not be increased without board approval as part of the special exception.
Okay. What about the fire dancing?
If I could, sorry, may I jump in here, Chairman?
Please.
So I just want to note for the record that the video that you watched and the pictures that you saw were submitted by someone that's not here, that is in opposition, and that forwarded this opposition email and video after the staff report was rendered. So as far as like any fire concerns or violations, that's separate and apart from this proceeding, this special exception proceeding.
Sure.
And I'll also note that there's nobody here to verify, yes, I took this video, or this video, what you're being shown in this video has actually occurred in this space. Or it's, you know, I mean, you could go back to the applicant and ask them of how they're operating and what they're doing. But as far as the condition that staff's put forth and the condition that was put on by the Planning and Zoning Board, who did have some members of the public there, the main concern on that level was noise regulation. And so there you have the Planning and Zoning Committee saying no, a sound regulator being installed inside, no outdoor entertainment on the patio area, and the capping at the patio area being closed at 10 o'clock.
Sure. Well, my more specific question, maybe I need to fire more. Oh, there she is, sorry. So the inquiry by the district commissioner related to the removal of the original design seating, which causes you concern, understandably. Do any of these address that?
It does speak about capping seating, but not necessarily the fixed seating to the floor.
That's what I was trying to get to is okay. All right, I think I have my answer. Thank you. Commissioner Lockhart?
I think perhaps maybe if the liquor license consultant isn't able to answer the question, perhaps the owner who's made his way, or someone who's related to the business who's made his way to the front, could answer the question, identify himself and answer the question about the validity of the video.
Sure. Go on up. I thought we closed that portion, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, my
Your
name is
name and
Meet.
address for the record, please.
My name is Meet. I'm one of the owner for the Tehran Hookah Lounge. I'm here. I saw the video. Actually, we never had these kind of things. It's just a promotional. They used it. One of the promoters. So we never had this kind of party over there.
So is that video taken from inside your establishment?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
This video is particular for just the graphics. They used it.
So I bet the folks who showed up that night were disappointed, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. That was my only question.
And only reason is while I'm here, just say that, we bought this business 1.5 years ago. We've been trying to do, we not going every day over there. We're running as just a business. I have in Seminole County and other places, we have a liquor license. We trying to maintain whatever the, in a control. So we're trying our best. If you can allow that, be appreciated.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Lockhart.
So, I personally don't have a problem with an alcohol established and a place in that location offering alcohol. That's just my personal preference. I think we're already having problems with the neighbors without alcohol, right? So I'm conflicted because giving them the alcohol license exception allows us to put additional restrictions on the existing operation. I was thinking maybe clearly we're not responsible enough to have the establishment open until 2 a.m. So maybe we change the time to midnight. And I was in my mind, before we started having conversation, I was thinking maybe this isn't a bad idea. I happen to like a Tito's soda and lime myself every now and then. So the alcohol isn't the part that bothers me. It's what's happening in the establishment and the hours in which it's happening, and it's clearly not being kept under control, despite the fact that we're saying that that's not the establishment. I might have to come visit sometime and check it out for myself. So I don't know how we improve the environment for the neighbors by just saying no and having the status quo. And so I'll look to staff in the county attorney's office for advice on that, because I think there is an advantage to the neighbors in a weird backhanded way to give the approval, because it gives us more tools in our toolbox to make restrictions.
Mr. Chairman, I may have a suggestion.
Okay.
I'd like to speak to the county attorney, even though she had to step out. The deputy county attorney is present. Nasa, if we continued this to the next meeting, we could ask staff and the applicant to review their issues to try to control the sound, the use, as well as the hours, and bring it back to us. Could we not do that?
Yes, if you're going to continue the matter with direction for staff and the applicant to come back with additional conditions that may address some of the concerns that are reflected on the record today.
Well, my
you could
concerns are
do
very
that.
much where it's called fire safety. That's number one. Number two, it's the occupancy loading. Number three, it's the sound and the hours of use. Those are my concerns, and that's the reason why I made the motion for denial. Now, to be fair to the applicant, sir, I would like to, if it's okay with you, and I think we can do it up here, I'd like to remove my motion, Mr. Chairman, and make a motion for continuance to ask staff and the applicant to review this and bring it back to us at the appropriate time.
So the motioner wants to withdraw their motion.
Correct.
Does the seconder agree?
The seconder will be honest with you and tell you that I think when you have an establishment that has a pattern of, clearly we're marketing to a crowd, clearly we're in a neighborhood, clearly we want a back porch, clearly we want a lot of noise, clearly we want, I'm just going to be honest with you. We can withdraw the motion, but I'm a no. Because I don't know what you could put in here that would say, and I can tell you that when I have a beer or a wine, I'm a little bit different than when I have a Tito's and soda, or 2 or 3, in an environment where I'm dancing around like a crazy person. Like, I do that, I'm not saying don't, like, I'm not judging.
With fire?
But it shouldn't be in a neighborhood. Well, I wouldn't, that's just a bad idea. That's like what your mom told you not to do. So I really struggle with what we could put in here to make this come to a different conclusion.
And Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll keep my motion as is then.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll keep my second. I never withdrew my second. How about that?
I'll call. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. right, it's 3:26 and we are back in session. We are going to move to our county attorney's report. Madam County Attorney.
Thank you, Chairman. Nasa Borkert, Deputy County Attorney for the record. Kate Latour stepped out at approximately 3:12 for the record, so I am taking over for her. We have to make sure the record reflects such. I have two items today that our office needs direction on or approval from you. The first one, we will need a motion, and that's to authorize the county manager to approve and execute a tender agreement that our office is currently negotiating with Merchants Bonding Company. This is the bonding company for the work that never got started on the Yankee Lake Water Reclamation Facility for the renewal and replacement Phase 2 project. We are negotiating with the bonding company to have L7 construction complete the project. L7 was the second bidder in our original round of bids. The finalizing of this agreement is occurring now. However, as you know, there's a few weeks between now and our next board meeting. So they would like to get the agreement negotiated, wrapped up, so they can start as soon as possible. You would have a motion to authorize the county manager to execute the agreement, and then we'd bring it back at the meeting at the end of July for you all to ratify the agreement.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the agreement for the county manager to execute and bring back to us at a later date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Delory, second by Commissioner Lockhart. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimously. Please continue.
Thank you. The next item is something that just has come up just in the last couple days. The county's website has been supported by Solo Dev. We have a contract with them that we had piggybacked on. We are redesigning our website, as you all know. And so Solo Dev has said we are issuing them a termination for 60 days. We can terminate for convenience under the contract. However, Solo Dev is threatening and actually has done this to prohibit us access from the back end of our website, which would mean we wouldn't be able to add new notices and updates. That was done for a short period of time, I believe, on Friday, and the threat continues. So we would like the board to make a motion to authorize the county attorney's office to file a lawsuit against Just Program LLC and Solo Dev, doing business as Solo Dev, for breach of contract, and to file an emergency injunction for temporary injunction to enjoin them from shutting down the county's back-end administrative access to the county website. With that motion, we'd also like you to authorize Chris Patton to sign the verified complaint that we need to file. And that a verified complaint is kind of like an affidavit. We need the person with the most knowledge, and Mr. Patton is the person with the most knowledge on this matter at this point.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, who made the first one? Was Commissioner Lockhart?
We were tied.
Commissioner Lockhart, motion. Commissioner Delory, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. You have your direction.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have for today.
Thank you very much. We will now move to the county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Just one good news item. One, we do reach some good milestones here from time to time, as you saw today with Midway, the project. The other milestone that I have and our HR director, Christina Brandolini, have been working on is performance evaluations with all of our employees. And you would think that would be an easy task. I will tell you, we have been working on it for the past year, and I want to thank not only her, but our whole IT team to make it very easy. But actually, the goal is just to have conversations with our employees, so they are touched every year at one time of the year. So that was launched this week. I know this has been a goal of ours for quite some time, and I just thought I would highlight it at the meeting today. So that is actually starting, and we are going to be doing it on the employee's anniversary date. So that went out last week. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Good work.
It's huge.
Fantastic. Nothing else? All right, we will move to District Commissioner reports. District 5, Commissioner Herr.
Well, I'll be super brief today. First, thank you to our team for putting together the Seminole County Memorial Day ceremony. Not very well attended, but very meaningful for the folks that were there, and I appreciate that we do that every year. It's important. I want to give a shout out to Senator Scott for coming and creating a hurricane awareness campaign for us locally, and to our entire team, Alan and the entire crew that does all of the work to make that happen and make it look like it's really easy when we know it's not. And then one last shout out to Guy. I know he was in the, oh, there, he's back there talking. Red-handed.
Pay attention, Guy. Pay attention.
Just giving a shout out to Guy again, because he was on the OBJ Doing Business in Seminole panel and knocked the ball out of the park, as we would have expected, but it was quite a good panel, and Guy presented the material accurately, factually, lots of data, and with a sense of humor, so it was fabulous. Well done.
Great job.
And that is it.
Okay, we will go to Commissioner Delory, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the back of the room, there's Mr. Bill Hyde. Bill, you're not in trouble. I want to say thank you for you and your post for the Memorial Day celebration. As always, and it was expected, you guys do a phenomenal job recognizing those individuals that paid the ultimate price. So thank you, and please give our thanks to the Post members and all their hard work. I know we spoke about Guy, but there's more to Guy, and there is his staff. They did, and we did, host the State of Florida Girls High School Fast Pitch Championship. They did it, and a little bit of rain. Would definitely tell you that the girls played a phenomenal out there, and 2 local high schools went to the championship. One was Oviedo, and the other one was Haggerty. Not Oviedo, it was Winter Springs, excuse me. Winter Springs and Haggerty. Winter Springs did win their division. Haggerty came in second. And the sportsmanship, the intense, the level of play, the dedication to the sport is truly, truly amazing from the young ladies. I also want to thank the folks that maintained those fields. Darren, your staff did a phenomenal job. I, for one, didn't think, after all the rain we had out there, that they'd be able to play. The rain stopped, I am not kidding you, around 6:30 at night. They were playing at 10:30 at night. It was truly amazing what they did. And your entire staff needs to be complimented to getting those fields back on line. One of the reasons why it was so important was because I think it's, they have a policy that they don't play on Sundays. So they couldn't come back. So they had to play. They actually looked at Boomber over by the airport. They looked at the sports complex over in Altamont. And the best option was to re-prep the fields at the last moment, and they did a phenomenal job. There was actually standing water on the fields. And I want to thank you all for doing that. We did get on Monday, which was yesterday, boil water notice for one of our water plants, which is the Seminole County Southeast Water Service Area from the regional water plant. Can you ask your staff to give us a cursory review, not in any great detail, how many water notices that we've been getting, not from the distribution, but from the plant itself? There's a difference. And I want to thank them for their hard work. And there's some more information that needs to go out because the residents are getting confused. Do they sign up for Alert Seminole, which it's not, because I spoke to Alan about that. Do they do their cell phones? And there needs to be maybe a little bit more education out there. Alan and his team is doing a great job, but as we all know, it's education, education, and education. So just want to thank you all for doing that. And it's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Next up is Commissioner Constantine, but he's not with us today. He's remote. Commissioner Lockhart, District 4, and also a reminder, Commissioner, you have an appointment.
I do. So if it's okay with you, let's take care of the appointment first.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, to appoint Susan Kellicut to the Library Advisory Board, fulfilling a vacancy with the term being January 2025 to December 31st, 2026. Ms. Kellicut has served in the past.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous.
I have a handful of things today, so please bear with me. All of them are pretty important. The first of which is that today is Deputy Todd Moderson's birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy
Todd, would
birthday.
you stand up, please? Happy birthday, Todd.
Happy birthday, sir.
We so appreciate the work that you do here and keeping everybody in line. Thank you. The Memorial Day celebration at the City of Sanford was a very well-attended event, and it's always just incredibly meaningful to still have World War II veterans join us in these celebrations, and we had 2 of them at the City of Sanford's event, and it was very, very moving, wonderful message from the keynote speaker, and just a great turnout from a variety of community members. So thank you to everyone who attended that event. The Rosenwald meeting that was held a couple of weeks ago on May 19th, we had a follow-up with several of the pastors in the community about some of the continued challenges that we are having with the Lily H. Green Community Center in the partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Everyone's excited about Rosenwald opening and what that will mean for the community in terms of having access to a community building again, but in the meantime, they fully recognize that it's going to be a couple of years before that's up and running, and we're continuing to struggle. So Tricia Johnson has stepped up, thank you so much, to listen to the concerns of the community and convene, along with Rick Durr, some of the stakeholders to try to figure out why it is we continue to struggle with the Boys and Girls Club meeting their obligations in the terms of our agreement. So stay tuned with that. I just wanted you to know that we're still struggle bussing with them as a tenant. So
A question about that. Didn't we address that before, back in 2019?
18 and 19, and we had an updated agreement in 23. There's been some turnover at the Boys and Girls Club. The new CEO has committed to me that they will be fabulous partners with us. We're just struggling with agreeing on what that looks like. There are
Maybe we should give them an illustration.
There are some very specific terms in the agreement that they are not adhering to. And not that ignorance is an excuse, but it is entirely possible that with some of the new leadership, they don't even know that this is in that agreement. So we're going to give them every opportunity to come into alignment so that we can make this a good outcome for everybody. But I just wanted it to be on your radar so that you knew we're having conversations. I went down to Spectrum 13 and did an interview on microtransit with their Sunday spot. Oh, that's terrible.
Spotlight.
In focus. In focus. Spotlight in focus. Anyway, it was fantastic. We had a great time. Altamont Springs City Commissioner Bob O'Malley and I'm getting old. I got to go through the process. We did the panel together. It was a great conversation. Just trying to start having the community be aware of the changes that are coming. Very high-level discussion. Obviously, we still have decisions that we have to make as a board, but because there's conversation about it and the community is asking questions, different media outlets are wanting to have us come and talk about it. So if you all are still okay with me doing that, I'll continue to make myself available as they ask. I believe it's going to air either next Sunday or the Sunday after, so we'll keep you updated on that. I'm sure Chris Patton will do that. There is a specially called meeting of the Medical Examiner Committee on June 19th. Not exactly sure what that's going to look like and what may be different, although I am being told that Lake County is sending a different representative to serve on that board. My thoughts at this point is we have already made Seminole County's position excruciatingly clear So I will just be there to lend support to Lake County, and frankly, I don't have any intention to say much of anything. We've already said everything that can be said. I'll continue to be the whipping post on your behalf until we get this squared away, but so Juneteenth is the same day as the specially called meeting, so unfortunately, I will be in Sumter County the better part of that day. That's where I will be.
And I concur, by the way.
That I'm a whipping post?
No. Well, you're welcome for that, but
Yeah.
thank you for taking over my back was getting sore.
I know.
But we have had clarity from Lake County, and they're aware our position has not changed, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so well put. Good stuff.
All right. On June 11th, I will be serving on a panel with the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association, talking about leadership and their mentorship program that they have. I think Danny Trossett is also going to be on that panel, so that'll be fun for the two of us to do that together. Then, so I also need to bring to your attention a situation that has to do with Mike Shirley. If you all remember, last year, I sat through every day of that criminal trial on behalf of this board, including the sentencing. Brought back a report to you all about what occurred. This board wrote a letter that the chairman signed to the judge to express our extreme concerns about the damage that was done to the taxpayers and citizens of Seminole County. The judge, Judge Presnell, actually read part of that letter into the record as a part of his sentencing. Unfortunately, it was brought to my attention by some members of the community that Mr. Shirley or people on his behalf are seeking some type of commutation for that sentence. And so I don't know what that process is. I took a couple of personal individual steps to reach out to try to find out what that process might be so I could come to you all and make you aware, number one, and then hand over to the county attorney and the county manager whatever actions may be appropriate on the part of this board. But I do want to let you know about an email that I sent. I sent it as just one commissioner, one person. I did not send it on behalf of the board, but I wanted to read, if I could, into the record the email that I sent so that everyone is aware, and then this board can take whatever actions may be appropriate at whatever time it may find it appropriate. So this email was sent to, at the recommendation of someone from Senator Scott's staff to someone in the Department of Justice. I copied both the county attorney and the county manager. So the email reads, as a member of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners, I reached out to Senator Scott with a concern reference the subject case, the Shirley case. In turn, it was suggested that you may be the best contact to help us navigate these concerns. On behalf of the board, I personally attended every day of this criminal trial, including sentencing, and have to say how incredibly impressed I was with the professionalism of the DOJ attorneys. They were a first-class, top-notch team. Recently, it has come to my attention that efforts on behalf of Michael Shirley may be underway to obtain some type of sentence commutation. Although I'm sure he has a right to pursue this, it is very distressing to think this could be a possibility. I would like to discuss at your convenience what this process may involve. Additionally, I would like to know what, if any, voice we may have on behalf of the victims, the citizens and taxpayers of Seminole County. And then I gave him my cell phone and asked that he reach out with any information he could share. I have not heard back from him. I just sent this email Saturday. So I want to turn that over to the board and turn it over to the county attorney and the county manager. I just wanted to let you know that I started the ball rolling on that process.
Okay.
Thank you very much to facilities for giving us leg room. The dais has been deconstructed. We don't have any concrete wooden things under here anymore, boxes, whatever they were. Thank you very much to everyone who was involved in that. And
no erroneous phones ringing either.
no phones. Yeah, that's right. No phones. And then the very last thing.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, could you expound on that so people don't think we're just crazy.
Oh, so back in the day, there were television monitors in the we didn't have the screens and everything, and so there was a box underneath the dais that had all of the mechanics and the stuff for the TV, and there were old school landline telephones hanging back here, and they just took up a lot of room, and occasionally they would randomly ring. And in the middle of a meeting, Commissioner Hur took a call one time in the middle of a meeting.
It wasn't for me.
No,
The day I got it wasn't for me either.
Calling me or anything.
you just answered it. So
We
we're
used to get random calls.
Yes, and it's just great, so thank you. So much better. And then the final thing I have today, June 10th, is National Herbs and Spices Day. So if you're interested in spicing up your life and exploring new flavors by adding herbs and spices to your meals, today's the day to do it.
Thank you,
my report.
Commissioner. All right, I'll get the chairman's report and just my District 2 report and try to get those all together. First thing I want to try to handle before we get into that is Commissioner Lockhart and Commissioner Delary sit on the VAB board. We need to nominate a chairperson of that board. So I will look to my fellow commissioners to make a nomination.
I nominate Bob Delary.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations,
Opposed?
Commissioner.
Opposed?
No, nobody else here?
No, opposed? Nay?
Oh, you're opposed?
Okay, I'm just,
Very good. All right. I have some appointments on behalf of the board that I'm going to ask for approval. The Board of County Commission at-large appointments of Jesse Phillips and Lucas Farrer to the Metro Plan Orlando Community Advisory Committee, and that is a motion.
second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, carries unanimous. Also approve BCC at-large reappointments of Kelly Welsh and Debbie Owens to the Health Council of East Central Florida. That's a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. All right. I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to our staff who has received, it's my understanding, a grant for about $163,000 from Duke Energy for our emergency management folks that's going to help fill some voids with some unmet needs in the emergency management groups. That's good work there, and thanks, Duke, for being a partner in our community. I also had this past week opportunity. I was invited to a grand opening of a corporation called Illumis, which is a LED lighting company that builds custom LED lighting, everything from in your home, your office, sports complexes, located right here in Seminole County. And they're a very quickly growing corporation. And had a chance to tour their assembly line and their machinery, and it's amazing. I had no idea anybody was building such product right here in our community. And they also do custom builds. So you as a contractor, or if the county had a special project, sports complex or whatever it might be, and we had some special challenges with lighting, they have the ability, they have a test set up where they actually can test additional lighting or types of lighting and design the lighting for you to be put into your, whether it's your home, your office, so on and so forth. They shared a lot of success stories. Very young group of people, which was great to see. It was amazing. They've got like 200,000 square foot of warehouse, of which they're only occupying approximately 100, or actually using 100,000 right now. But they are self-sufficient, and what they shared with me, some of their challenges were getting cardboard boxes, by example. They couldn't get the supply chain, so they bought the equipment, they built them themselves right on site. So they build their own cardboard boxes, they built their own labeling. They met the challenge themselves by handling it. So great group. And on that note, I don't know if there's any interest. I always found interest in it when I first started on this commission. We had a segment every commission meeting, which was doing business in Seminole, which was we spotlighted a particular business entity each and every county commission meeting with a little video. SGTV went out, interviewed them. Is there any interest in doing anything like that? I know it's time spent, but...
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a great idea. I think it's well said and well-meaning, but as we all know, our staff is pretty much doing a lot, and I think it should be done on a case-by-case basis, that if there is truly an item that we feel that we should be looking at, then yes, but to do it on a regular basis, I think it's going to put a lot of burden on staff on a regular basis, and it's going to take time away from their already overload taxed schedule.
Well, maybe it's something economic development folks might want to deal with. Commissioner Hur?
So I watched that for years as a consultant sitting in the audience, and then when I got here, I was amazed at the amount of staff time that we used for it. I was amazed at the process by which somebody got to that spot at the podium. It was also a significant amount of work for the businesses. They weren't always excited to be part of it. I think we're on a good path of focusing on what the citizens need right now and operating lean and not mean, efficient, and delivering. I don't want to go backwards. And I would be really concerned if we said we just do it as needed, because that is an undefined process which sends our organization into a tizzy. And we really should be accountable for aligning nominations to a very sound vetting process. And opening that door up doesn't feel good to me.
Okay, well, I floated the idea, so I'll take that
We
as
appreciate it.
there's no support in moving forward. Perfect. Okay, more efficiency.
Great idea, though.
Let's
Great
go.
idea.
Love you, mean it, move on.
Today is also National Call Your Doctor Day.
Oh, I don't know that they're going to love that.
As a reminder to make sure you look after your health at least annually, that is also what's being celebrated today.
Said the man with the bowl full of chocolate and diet.
Absolutely.
Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi.
And
under
caffeine coming out of my veins. Anything else for the good of the order and the district reports before we move to public comment?
Charity has a question.
I'm sorry, Chairman, I don't believe I got the motion for item number 46. I'm sorry, item 45, which was the appointment for the Parks and Preservation Committee.
You're right.
Good catch.
We got that one missed. We got the others. So I will move approval of District 2 appointments of Jason Ware to the Parks and Preservation Advisory Committee, fulfilling a vacancy for the term of 1/1/25 through 12/31/2026.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, for that. All right, we will, nothing else good for the order for the districts. We will move to public comment. This is the portion of the meeting we have each and every Board of County Commission meeting where we invite people from the public to come speak on matters that are not on the agenda, that are specifically in the purview of the county commission, something we would have control over legislatively or otherwise, business with the county. We limit that to 3 minutes apiece, 6 minutes for organizations. I will give you as much latitude as we possibly can, as long as you're making sense and coherently corresponding with us. We will continue moving forward. So I will ask Dominique to announce the first name of the individual who wishes to speak to us.
Okay, the first speaker is going to be Justin Quinan and Emma Pascal, and they're going to be talking about microtransit.
Okay, if you two would come up, please. And when you come up, if you'll just give us your name and address for the record, and then we'll set the timer for you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Say your name.
My name is Justin Quinane.
And I'm Emma Pascal, and we're students from UCF College of Nursing.
Welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. So originally, we came prepared to present on why investing on microtransit services is essential for our community. But we were thrilled to learn that you've already approved the funding for these services, and that decision reflects a deep understanding of the real needs in this county, and we want to thank you.
Absolutely.
So raise your hand if you've ever been late to a medical appointment. Everyone, I assume. Yes, yes.
I use a concierge service. I'm never late.
And so, your investment is going to make a meaningful difference, especially for older adults, people with disabilities, low-income families, and those living in transportation deserts.
So, microtransit offers flexible, on-demand transportation in areas where fixed route buses don't reach, bringing mobility, dignity, and opportunity to more people. So it's great that we're doing that. Based off our supporting data and personal stories, this resource will be greatly valuable. So we do a lot of clinicals at senior centers and rehabilitation centers, and we've actually heard lots of stories where people are interested in maintaining their health, but they're unable to make those appointments because they don't have the transportation. So it's fantastic that we're moving in that direction.
So in addition, I understand that the non-emergency medical transport program is still under review, and we greatly support this solution as well if it were to pass. So here are some benefits of having microtransit and NEMT based on the research we found. So missed appointments cost the U.S. healthcare system around $150 billion annually. Studies show that for every $1 spent on NEMT, Medicaid saves $11. Investing in transportation improves health outcomes, lowering long-term care costs. And the Medical Transportation Access Coalition found that NEMT services for Medicaid beneficiaries resulted in substantial cost saving.
So, as UCF students, we are committed to helping out our community by providing education for those who would be unfamiliar with this solution, or I know that some of them involve apps and technology, so the seniors or people with disabilities might need help with the technological side of those things. So just in the future for like implementation, UCF College of Nursing students would be willing to educate members unfamiliar with this solution or may need help operating those technology or apps in our clinicals at these sites. So on behalf of UCF, we wanted to thank the board for listening and caring for the community. And we offer our commitment to helping this cause and spreading the word about the resources. Thank you so much, commissioners.
Thank you very much. Let's make sure that we get the contact information for these
Actually,
folks.
Mr. Chairman, we do, and they've already volunteered to be on our focus group committee. So,
Perfect. See what happens when you do good things, you get jobs.
Get volunteer.
Volunteer jobs.
So are you all nursing students? Raise your hand if you're a
Yes.
nursing student.
Well,
Good to see you
Wow,
all.
I was wondering why you were here. So congratulations for picking one of the most noble professions in the world, nursing and teaching, two of the hardest things you can ever do. We're delighted to have you in this community, and we're happy that you're here today. And go Knights.
Thank you. Go nice.
There's no charge on back there. What's happening?
And I don't know if there's a way, and I know we do our paramedicine here in the community that we have sponsored and fund through the county. There may be some opportunities in that arena for some of these students to assist in that way as well. Maybe get them with the fire folks and let's see.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I know we're all very involved in transportation at one level or another, and through Metro Plan Orlando, we've done on a regular basis study about the needs of the community. One of the biggest things that we've seen in the community through the paratransit is that 25% of the elderly are missing their medical appointments. And we have that data through UCF. We need to contact Gary Hutman to get that information, and maybe you all can help us with those individuals to help them understand microtransit and to bridge that gap. So thank you for volunteering.
Commissioner Lockhart.
So since we're raising hands and like doing a poll here, so how many of you grew up in Seminole County? You went to K through 12 schools here? Anyone? Three-ish, four? Okay. Did any of you go to Seminole State before you went to UCF? A couple nods.
You just
Okay.
broke her heart.
It's okay. You can raise your hand. It's
Next
okay.
question.
Go Raiders. Go State, go far. I saw a couple of head nods. Okay.
Next question, Commissioner?
Yeah, well, no, I think that there is synergy between our state college, between both Valencia and Seminole State and UCF, because there is that continuum of to the nursing program. And UCF, I mean, let's be honest, it's just a phenomenal nursing program. So you all are the top-notch, the cream of the crop of the applicants to get into that UCF program. So congrats to you. And I'm assuming that Chris Patton and Christian Swenson were totally tuned in to, yeah, okay, all right. I think it's so incredible, and I've known nothing about microtransit or transportation. It's not been in my wheelhouse at all until very recently. And so the more I'm learning and seeing all of the fantastic applications and having so many of us have elderly parents, we know that is going to be a challenge. So the fact that you identified that is huge, and we are going to need, we've talked about having ambassadors even on some of the Lynx buses now to help people migrate, to learn, and to not be afraid, right? Because change is scary. And so there might be some opportunities there as well to take a couple bus rides, even.
Not to mention, it
awesome.
speaks a great deal about your character, being able to sit and listen to us all afternoon
I know.
while waiting to come speak with us. I think we have some more speakers, do we not?
Yes, sir. One more speaker, Jandy Sun, to talk about fall risk assessment and prevention.
Son? Come on up. Just give us your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Jandy. I actually live in Altamont Springs.
Last name?
Sun.
Okay. And
And I'm Tamia Thomas, and I live in Orlando.
great. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here. Go right ahead.
All right, so for today, we have the Seminole County Fall Risk Assessment and Prevention. So we're here to talk about why it matters. So the reason why we're here today is that for the statistics on falls in the older population in Seminole County is actually quite high compared to the Florida average, and it's about 18. But the death rate for the unintentional falls is 18 per 100,000. So compared to Florida, which was about 10. And so things that are related to these falls are just the age. Some have chronic issues and they have like comorbidities. Some have mobility issues. If they have diabetes, they might have an amputated foot. And also it impacts their sensory issues. There's also like older generations, they're blind. They can be visually impaired, which affects their balance. Also hearing. Not many people understand that hearing helps with your balance as well. Things like environmental and social factors. So when you're at home, it might be dark, there might be things cluttered, you might have a cluttered home, just that the older population might not have the time to clean and stuff. And it's to raise awareness and provide education for these populations of adults 65 years old or older of age to, reinforce that idea of maybe they lack the strength sometimes, or they want, like as Americans, we want to be independent, we want to be strong, but sometimes it's okay to ask for help and, call for help if any. I'm sorry, do I have the point? Yeah.
Actually, we could use some help with technology. Y'all pretty good on that with this?
Yeah, I was lagging, I don't know. So,
We just told them we had rotary phones up here. I'm sure they were impressed.
So for the trends in Seminole County, as I said, in Seminole County, unintentional falls, the death rate is the leading cause. It's second in Florida. Unintentional death rates, top three are motor vehicle accidents, falls, and drowning as well. So from the statistics, Florida, I think in Seminole County there's about 500,000 residents in Seminole County, so it's quite,
Yep.
yeah, it's quite high. And community statistics, you'll see that the unintentional hospitalizations is 552 per 100,000. And then you can see that the fall rate for Seminole County is 18 compared to Florida, which is 10 per 100,000.
Okay, so our proposal for this public health issue would be a community-based fall prevention resources for older adults, incorporating evidence-based education, mobility support, and home safety modifications. So a few ways we thought we could do this would be educational workshops that talks about fall prevention through a presentation, transportation support through the Access Links parent transit system, healthcare integration by doing fall risk screenings and medication reviews, as well as balance and mobility programs with senior-focused strength building classes like Tai Chi and chair yoga, and then home safety assessments as well. So we looked into a few community resources to incorporate, and we kind of went into detail for each one, but due to time, these are just a few we could partner with, like the Florida Department of Health, and also the Physical Dizziness and Fall Prevention Center is a good one because that's a local resource that treats and diagnoses fall-related disorders. And then lastly, our expected outcomes are overall to reduce fall-related injuries and deaths, improve quality of life for seniors, lower healthcare costs, increase community engagement and health literacy, enhance coordination between community and systems, and overall risk mitigation for future aging trends. And then that's the end of our presentation.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Great
work.
job.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
It's good stuff. I'm actually shocked. And the reason I'm surprised with these numbers is, Seminole County is allegedly the second healthiest county in the state of Florida. Commissioner Lockhart now sits on the ME's board. I sat on the medical examiner's board for, 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. And our numbers don't seem to be tracking as heavy as some of our other partners are through the region. And then it dawned on me as I looked around the community, we have a lot of assisted living facilities in Seminole County that are utilized by people that originally came from Orange County. So I don't know whether it was very shocking to me, but when you run percentages, 500,000 people or 480-some thousand people in this county compared to a county that has several million, can help water those numbers down. But I think this is a great idea to have the students help with education and working with our elderly folks and some of those assisted living facilities. I know personal experience from having relatives in assisted living. Falls are a problem, and they typically are, unfortunately, related to neglect or lack of staffing, left unattended or not properly evaluated, allowing them to do things they shouldn't be doing. So it would be something that I think is a huge benefit. So good work, great work, good stuff. So Commissioner Lockhart.
So this is your proposal for something that you would like us to implement, or is this something that you would like to partner with us on and participate in?
Yeah, actually, I think it would be great if we could get UCF students with your partners, prospective partners that can help, assist in those, whether it be assisted living facilities or, home checkups, with the firefighters or something. Have students,
Paramedicine,
or paramedics, like bring them along and then, assist with them and get to know, as well just understand and, interact with the community as well.
Yeah.
I think that would be beneficial.
I think it would be fantastic for you to spend some time with Chief Kinley and the folks in his department that have our community paramedicine program. I know a lot of what they do is talk about fall prevention. They'll even go into, especially because, someone falls, you call 911, the fire department shows up, they pick them back up, they put them back wherever they were, and then what happens? They trip over the same rug that was there before, right? So now they're right, it's a cycle, and now we duct tape the rug down when we leave. I'm just kidding. No, I think there's a great opportunity for y'all to work with them and see what things we are doing and maybe to look at what we could improve and work together.
Great.
Yeah.
I think both of these aspects plug in well with paramedicine. Great fit. And to be able to have the students get the experience and be willing to do it is phenomenal. So thank you all again very much for being here and your proposals. We look forward to hopefully working with some of you. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good work. Anyone else here to speak to the commission today?
No, sir.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, boy.
Great points here. Just make sure that Commissioner Constantine, since he's getting up in age, it'd be great to,
Have you do a home check?
He's
He could
gonna
be the
get
pilot
you.
program.
he can be part of the pilot
He's
program.
going to get you.
You want to do a wellness check?
No.
No, no, no.
I'm just saying that tongue in cheek. We have a lot of fun up here. We're all very friendly. Lee's a good guy. I'm just ribbing him right
We
now.
tease him.
Yeah.
We tease him. He
We
loves
shall
it.
be adjourned. Thank you.